War and Money, a match made in? Hey there, folks. Welcome to an eye-opening episode where we peel back the layers of some of the world's most complex and often controversial topics. Today, we're diving into the arms industry. Yes, the very industry that brings you everything from handguns to intercontinental ballistic missiles. The arms industry impacts all of us, whether we realize it or not. It's deeply intertwined with global politics, economics, and human lives. This multi-trillion-dollar industry has its tentacles wrapped around governments and international relations. It's an industry that, frankly, has a vested interest in conflict. War is good for business, and in this case, business is booming. So buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to take a deep dive into the world of weapons manufacturers, defense contractors, and the politicians who love them. We'll unpack how the arms industry profits from conflict, explore the ethical quagmire of profiting from war, and hopefully, leave you with a better understanding of this complex and deeply unsettling issue. So, stay tuned, and let's get started on this journey together. The Arms Bazaar, a global marketplace of destruction. Let's start with the basics, shall we? The global arms trade is a complex and multifaceted industry that involves a wide range of players, from governments and defense contractors to brokers and middlemen. It's a world where deals are made behind closed doors, and the stakes are incredibly high. The global arms trade is exactly what it sounds like, a massive marketplace where countries buy and sell weapons. This trade is not just about the exchange of goods, it's about power, influence, and strategic advantage. Countries invest heavily in their military capabilities to ensure they can defend their interests and project power on the global stage. Think of it like Amazon, but instead of novelty socks and avocado slicers, you've got fighter jets, tanks, and enough ammunition to make Rambo blush. And business is booming. The demand for advanced military technology and weaponry has never been higher, driven by geopolitical tensions and the constant evolution of warfare. In 2023 alone, global military expenditure reached a record-breaking $2.24 trillion. This staggering amount of money is funneled into research and development, procurement, and maintenance of military assets. It's a testament to how much nations are willing to spend to maintain their security and dominance. That's more money than the entire GDP of Italy, spent on tools designed to blow things up. This comparison highlights the sheer scale of military spending and raises questions about the allocation of resources. Could this money be better spent on healthcare, education, or infrastructure? It's a debate that continues to rage on. It's enough to make you wonder if maybe, just maybe, our priorities are a tad out of whack. The ethical implications of such vast expenditures on military capabilities are profound. Many argue that the focus should shift towards peaceful resolutions and addressing global challenges like poverty and climate change. Now, who are the big players in this deadly game? The major arms exporters are not just selling weapons, they are shaping global politics and conflicts. Their influence extends far beyond their borders, affecting the stability and security of entire regions. Well, you've got your usual suspects, the United States, Russia, China, France, and the UK. These countries dominate the arms trade, leveraging their advanced technology and manufacturing capabilities to supply weapons to allies and clients around the world. These countries account for over 75% of global arms exports. Their dominance in the market gives them significant leverage in international relations, allowing them to influence the policies and actions of other nations. They're like the Walmart and Target of the weapons world, except instead of low prices and questionable labor practices, they offer high-tech killing machines and the promise of geopolitical influence. The arms trade is not just about profit, it's about power and control. But it's not just about the big guys. Smaller countries and private companies also play a significant role in the global arms trade. They may not have the same level of influence, but they contribute to the proliferation of weapons and the complexity of the market. The arms trade is a truly global affair, with over 100 countries exporting weapons to some degree. This widespread participation means that weapons can end up in the hands of various actors, including those involved in conflicts and human rights abuses. From small arms to sophisticated missile systems, there's a weapon for every occasion and a buyer for every seller. The diversity of the market ensures that there is always a demand for different types of weaponry, catering to the specific needs of buyers. It's like a deadly game of musical chairs, except instead of chairs, we're talking about instruments of destruction. The constant movement of weapons around the world creates a volatile environment where conflicts can escalate quickly, and the consequences can be devastating. Profiting from chaos. How conflict lines the pockets of arms manufacturers. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather the war profiteer in the war zone. Because here's the thing, the arms industry thrives on conflict. Wars, armed conflicts, and simmering tensions are all fantastic for business. When countries go to war, they need weapons, and lots of them. And guess who's more than happy to oblige? Our friends in the arms industry. Take the ongoing conflict in Yemen, for example. This devastating war has become a humanitarian catastrophe with millions facing famine and displacement, but for some, it's been a gold mine. The United States, the UK, and other major arms exporters have been supplying weapons to Saudi Arabia and its allies who are heavily involved in the conflict. These arms sales have generated billions of dollars in revenue, lining the pockets of arms manufacturers while Yemen burns. And it's not just Yemen. From Syria to Somalia, Afghanistan to Ukraine, the pattern is clear. Conflict equals profit for the arms industry. The more wars and instability there are in the world, the more money these companies make. It's a cynical and deeply disturbing reality, but it's one we can't afford to ignore. Section 4. The revolving door of influence, lobbying and the military-industrial complex. This section delves into the intricate and often opaque relationship between the arms industry and government officials, a relationship that has far-reaching implications for global politics and national security. Governments do have a say, but that say is often heavily influenced by the arms industry. This influence is exerted through lobbying, campaign contributions, and the promise of lucrative post-government employment. The relationship between governments and the arms industry is about as cozy as a pair of sweatpants after a Thanksgiving feast. The arms industry spends billions lobbying governments to increase military spending, approve arms sales, and maintain a foreign policy that prioritizes military solutions over diplomacy. This creates a vicious cycle where increased military spending leads to more conflicts, which in turn leads to even more military spending. There's a revolving door between the arms industry and government, with former military officials and politicians often taking cushy jobs with defense contractors after leaving public service. These individuals use their connections and insider knowledge to influence policy decisions. It's a classic case of the fox guarding the henhouse, except in this case, the fox is wearing a $5,000 suit, and the henhouse is filled with enough firepower to level a small country. This cozy relationship raises serious questions about the integrity of our political system and the true motivations behind our foreign policy decisions. It's a relationship that prioritizes profit over peace and power over the public good. Section 5. The price of profit, human cost, and ethical quandaries. Now, we've talked about the money, the politics, and the influence, but let's not forget about the most important aspect of this whole equation, the human cost. Because behind every dollar of profit made by the arms industry, there's a trail of human suffering. For every bomb dropped, every bullet fired, every life lost, there are families torn apart, communities shattered, and futures destroyed. The weapons produced and sold by the arms industry don't discriminate. They kill soldiers and civilians alike, fueling violence and instability around the world. And let's not forget about the long-term consequences. The use of weapons often leads to environmental devastation, displacement of populations, and the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, which continue to fuel violence and instability long after the initial conflict has ended. The ethical implications of all of this are staggering. How can we, as a global community, justify an industry that profits from death and destruction? How can we reconcile the pursuit of peace with the relentless pursuit of profit? These are uncomfortable questions, but they're questions we must ask ourselves if we ever hope to break free from the cycle of violence and war.